Ervin Graf emigrated from Hungary to Australia as a bricklayer and started a small business in 1952 with the help of founders of Stocks and Holdings Limited, Albert Scheinberg and John Hammond, providing a much-needed loan. Today, Ervin's incredible legacy lives on, and that small business has grown exponentially to become Stockland, Australia's largest diversified property group, with commercial assets, residential projects and retirement living villages around the country. Ervin studied architecture in Hungary before relocating to Sydney after World War II. He quickly identified a growing need in Sydney for affordable housing and created his first residential project, transforming a suburban poultry farm into a housing estate with 19 homes. The success of this project enabled the business to grow rapidly and expand its scope to other suburbs throughout Sydney.
He was always very flexible. Ervin basically could see the main chance, could see the economic opportunity, and he wasn't big on strategy, so he didn't have a particular focus on any particular sector of property.
6 years later, Ervin took his business public by acquiring the smallest company listed on the Australian Stock Exchange. He diversified into suburban retail projects and eventually became the first developer to build a drive-in shopping centre, the Piccadilly Centre in Wollongong. The opening of these centres were major community events, with shoppers keen to enjoy the changing retail trends that Stockland helped shape.
He was also 2 steps ahead. He was doing things that were pioneering and innovative at the time and taking considerable risk. In today's market there'd be analysts crawling all over him. That wasn't the case then, so he had a lot more latitude to do it, but used that latitude very, very well.
As an architect, Ervin was always interested in developing good buildings that would stand the test of time. Ervin's vision for Stockland was to not merely achieve growth and profits, but to make a worthwhile contribution to the development of our cities and our great country.
Ervin was very innovative, particularly in his early years. People would not be aware that there were many. He actually did quite a lot of adventurous things in his time.
No, I think the most important thing was to make sure that we kept it simple and kept it affordable, and really did our best to cater for the ordinary working families of Australia, which is still the case today.
Stockland undertook its first large mixed-use project in 1965, Imperial Arcade in Sydney's CBD. It offered the first underground link to David Jones, 4 retail levels and 6 floors of air-conditioned office space. In 1967, Ervin opened the Park Regis Towers in Sydney, the then tallest residential apartment building in the world outside the US, defying the skeptics who said high-density inner-city living would never take off.
I used to teach a course at some university on boards and strategy, and I used to use Stockland and Ervin, this was back 20 years, as an example of the strategy being to have no strategy. In other words, to be ultimately flexible, to be sharp, to be well informed, and to buy well.
One of Ervin's greatest contributions to the industry was revolutionising project funding. He introduced an internally managed property trust with institutional partners such as AMP, a venture capital model that remains intact today.
At that time, the stapled security was very innovative, and I think it was the first in the world, but the model's now turned up everywhere.
In June 2000, Ervin was awarded the Medal of the Order of Australia for services to the building and property industries. He retired as Stockland's chairman in October 2000 and sadly passed away in 2002, only days after Stockland celebrated its 50th anniversary. He is fondly remembered to this day as the company's guiding force.
Now, I remember the day well when I was appointed managing director of Stockland, and Ervin took me into his office because he was leaving at that stage. I think it was just about his last day, and sat down, and with a tear in his eye he said, "Look after my baby."
Ervin Graf saw the vast untapped potential of the Australian property market and created innovative new developments to meet the needs of a rapidly changing society, enriching the lives of thousands of Australians on a daily basis.
He was very intelligent, quick thinking, lateral thinking person, and if the landscape was changing, he was very quick to change with it.
I think the great thing about him is he wasn't constrained by anything other than his intellect and his capacity to see a good opportunity when it arose.
Ladies and gentlemen, please join the Property Council of Australia in honouring Mr. Ervin Graf, 2014 inductee to the Australian Property Hall of Fame.
To Kitty, Michael, the whole Graf family, congratulations on Ervin being elevated into the Hall of Fame. I was very proud to succeed him and carry on his legacy, and I'm sure you're equally proud of his legacy this evening.
He is certainly well deserving of this induction into the Hall of Fame, and I'm sure his family will greatly appreciate this award.
I congratulate the Graf family and wish them well. Whilst Ervin might have had tongue-in-cheek about this award, I think for the family it's a fitting recognition of someone who has undoubtedly been one of the great Australian property people so far.